codes become obsolete among the self-governed?
Good day, I hope you're well. My name is Veliswa Tia, and today I'd like to talk about the very important topic of self-governance. Self-governance is developing rules that help govern our conduct. Every country has laws to help manage the operations of that country. Laws designed to help create harmony and order so that country may flourish. I think we should also have laws like this. Laws designed by ourselves to create order and harmony in our own lives so that we may flourish. A personal constitution that helps manage our actions and behaviors to ensure that we are always the final authority in our lives. Before I get on to everything, please ensure that you subscribe to this channel to be notified of the latest personal development content. The first point in self-governance is taking responsibility. Most people do not really want freedom because freedom involves responsibility and people are frightened of responsibility. That's by Sigmund Freud. A lot of people consciously or unconsciously give away authority over their lives because they do not want to be responsible. They do not want to be responsible for the results or lack thereof in their own lives. They are happy to be bystanders only to complain when things don't go their way, when the only effort they made was crossing their fingers. Taking responsibility is being aware that in your life the buck stops with you. You may give away all your power and all your responsibility, but you can never give away the consequences of that decision. A lot of people think that just because they're not actively deciding that they are not responsible. But not deciding is a decision in itself with consequences that you cannot escape. We are not where we are in our lives by mistake. We have actively or passively directed our lives to where we are. We may try and blame others, but it is still our lives and only we can make the change. There are a number of things that we cannot control. However, we can always control ourselves. When we are taking responsibility for our lives, we are choosing to acknowledge this as a fact. I truly wonder, if we were to go around asking people who is responsible for where they are in their lives, how long would it take for them to point towards themselves? Taking responsibility is being aware. We are a tool. We can either use this tool to sharpen ourselves, or we can use this tool to hurt ourselves. It is our responsibility to know how we are using this tool. The next thing we should do for self-governance is be hard on ourselves. Be hard on yourself and easy on others, said Imam al-Shafi'i. I'm unfortunately not of the school that we should not be hard on ourselves. I think we should be hard on ourselves because that's how we develop strong standards for ourselves. I need to make it clear that when I'm saying be hard on yourself, I don't mean self-bully. I mean always expect more from yourself than you expect from others. I think we live in a society where a lot of people expect more from others than they expect from themselves. I don't know anything of great value that has been built from the idea of ease. To build anything worthwhile, strength needs to be exercised. What I've come to understand is that when people are easy on themselves but still need something to be built, they have to be hard on others. So the result of being overly lenient towards ourselves means that we have to be hard on others. It's the same psychology of people who struggle to control themselves. They typically always want to control others. To self-govern, you must exercise self-discipline. Self-discipline is developed when you have high expectations of yourself, and so you must ensure that you discipline yourself to deliver to those expectations. When you are constantly giving yourself a way out, you will struggle to develop self-discipline, and therefore you will struggle to self-govern. Self-governing leads to personal strength that is needed to develop a strong character. Be hard on yourself and easy on others because you know what you are capable of. If you are constantly lenient on yourself, you will struggle to develop the resilience needed to help yourself thrive. Don't bully yourself. Don't belittle yourself. But never underestimate how much you can grow when you give yourself no other way but through. The third point is self-understanding. To know thyself is the beginning of all wisdom, said Socrates. Self-understanding is not an easy endeavor. We don't wake up one day knowing ourselves completely. Self-understanding takes time. I always talk about how great it would have been if we were encouraged from a young age to document ourselves. On regular intervals, if we were asked to write about what we are understanding about ourselves, how we think we are changing over time, what seems to be our interest, and what seems to make us happy. I truly think this exercise would have helped us identify patterns about ourselves. Patterns that would have helped us understand ourselves better in our adulthood. Self-understanding requires a lot of observation, accepting of feedback, and honesty about our behavior. Self-governance is highly centered around understanding and leading of behavior. One thing I always talk about is the importance of self-understanding in order to help self-coach. There's so much self-coaching required if you want to help develop yourself. There's a lot of behavior that we had when we were younger that was very beneficial. However, we are now grown and that same behavior is now destructive. When we were younger and things were not going our way, we used to be able to throw a tantrum in order to change things to our desired direction. However, we are now grown. We can't still be throwing a tantrum in order to change things. We must now learn to communicate. That requires a lot of self-understanding in order to self-coach. You need to be able to self-coach in order to help yourself develop further. When we don't take the time to observe ourselves, it will be difficult for us to predict our own behavior. When we are trying to change, we are trying to be ahead of some of our default responses. We always want to be able to predict ourselves because we always want to be ahead of some of the responses that are not necessary for our growth. The fourth point is emotional management. Between stimuli and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In that response lies our growth and freedom, said Viktor Frankl. There are a number of things that we cannot control. However, we can always control our response. I recently made a video about how to be independent. And in that video, I spoke about the importance of self-awareness, as self-awareness helps us be able to predict ourselves. When we're able to predict ourselves, we're able to predict our response. I also spoke about how self-awareness can help us present ourselves in a way that is beneficial to us. Emotions are important because they provide us with important information. Information necessary for us to adapt and survive. For example, the emotion of fear is supposed to alert us when we're in danger. The emotion of anxiety is supposed to alert us when we're going in the wrong direction. The emotion of guilt is supposed to alert us when our actions are not aligned with our morals. And so emotions really do help us survive and adapt. However, some emotions deceive us and may negatively affect our normal functioning and well-being. And so, understanding the different functions of these emotions can help us be better able to monitor if we are allowing these emotions to come up in the wrong situations. There are emotions that are initially beneficial to us. And because we find value in these emotions, we begin to use them as our default emotions. But we go into different situations that now require a different set of emotions versus our default. We then struggle to change because we have trained ourselves to continuously use our default emotions. For example, the emotion of anxiety is supposed to alert us when we are going in the wrong direction. However, now people use this emotion even in situations where that emotion is not required. So we now go into what Abraham Maslow says, when the only tool you have is a hammer, you see every problem as a nail. We now respond with the same emotion to different problems when we should be using a different set of emotions. When you are self-governing, you are trying to help yourself to not be led into situations that are going to result in pain and regret. Self-governing people always want to choose the situation that they lead themselves towards. And so they're always trying to ensure that they manage their emotions and not fall into destructive emotions that are not conducive to their growth. The final point is develop your independence. I recently made a video about how to become independent, which I've linked to this video. When you become independent, you take the opportunity to lead your life. When we are young, we might be lucky enough to have people to lead and guide us. But as we grow, we must take up the task of leading ourselves. When you become independent, you become a person who can derive a course and self-direct. You want to be able to self-direct because each person has a different journey or a different direction. And so if you're going to look at other people's direction and other people's journey, you will struggle to individuate. That's why it's important that you're able to self-direct. When you are self-governing, you don't want to be overly influenced by everyone's ideas and beliefs. You want to be able to listen to other people's views, analyze them, and understand if they further develop your views or not. If you are not an independent person, you run the risk of taking on everyone's ideas and beliefs as your own. Unfortunately, that would lead you to going in all directions, but the direction that is unique to you. It will be difficult for you to guide yourself if you are not independent, because your views will be the views of others, your thoughts will be the thoughts of others, your voice will be the voice of others. It will be difficult for you to guide yourself from your own voice because you would have not developed it properly. You always want to be led by a voice that understands you and your direction very well. You always want to be led by a voice that wants to see you flourish. Lead your independence and govern yourself. And that's it. I thank you so much for your time. If you found value in this video, please subscribe so that you can be updated of the latest personal development content. I thank you for your time. I am Beliswatia. Bye.